I love it. Well, good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing okay. It's good to see everybody. The last few weeks we've had folks on vacation, so, different sections, different ways. So it's good to see almost everybody in the room. So here we are, and you're out in the middle of that time. I still like to call ordinary time, and so we talk about basically no festival days, no anything like that going on. Just really and truly, it's about sayings from Jesus or in interactions that Jesus has. And so the last few weeks, we've had a lot more verses than we have today, which we just talked about a little second ago. But we've also had what we called, remember last week, we called it the hard sayings of Jesus, because the stuff he says is hard. Yeah, there you go. And it's really, not trying to fool anybody with anything I'm saying. We're trying to be really straightforward. So I just find this passage, first of all, they just give us 2 verses, which he's like, 2 verses. That's not a long sermon. But, or is it? But then, but the other side of it is, 2, coming off of everything that we've just talked about, think about where Jesus has taken us in the last few weeks, where he talked about denying yourself and taking up your cross, and you're not worthy of me if you don't do it, and if I've come to bring division, and all these kind of really hard sayings that, again, we don't cross-stitch into pillows and hang them on the couch or put them in the fellowship hall or, and go, ooh, what a great saying. I've come to divide people from in their families, especially us Southern Christians. Family is kind of, and so we don't do that. And now think of those sayings in light and then of what we're about to read and how that works. Hey, how's it going? Come on in this house. So think about that. All right. Welcome back. That's all right. Well, one of the that we left, one that came back is the actual same kid. Yeah, we're saying. Yeah, we. That's right. Yeah, that's right. It's always a rule. Like for youth, excursions, you send off 15, you want 15 back. Same 15, just 15. All right. I'm hoping that none of the families would even notice. All right. Here we go. So here we go. Matthew 10, verses 40 through 42. And this is Jesus talking to his disciples. Whoever welcomes you welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. Whoever welcomes a prophet in the name of a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And whoever welcomes a righteous person in the name of a righteous person will receive the reward of the righteous. And whoever gives even a cup of cold water to the one of these little ones in the name of a disciple, truly I tell you, none of these will lose their reward. Okay, familiar? Okay. A little bit? Okay. I would probably dare to say, for most everybody, if you had to pick a part out of it that was familiar, you'd say the cup of cold water, right? More likely, because that's kind of the part we focus on, which is nothing wrong with that. So, in light of everything that we've talked about just recently, interesting kind of way to end this section up, personally. But, so, what jumps out to you? What sounds familiar? What sounds new?
We're glorifying Jesus. We're glorifying Jesus.
Correct.
The disciples have bought into that, so if you treat the disciples good, you're okay in Jesus' eyes. What about the prophets and the righteous?
What do you mean? Go ahead.
The language in there talks about if you do something in the name of the prophets,
Right.
then you're going to get the reward of the prophets.
Right.
That's not the same as a disciple. Is he putting those
No, okay, that's a good point. The prophets, think about, the prophets and how they were seen and understood. What are prophets? First of all, you kind of talk about what is a prophet. If we start there, prophets were basically the preachers of. We most of the time when people hear the word prophet or prophecy, they think it's about somebody coming to tell them something that's going to happen way out in the future. And that really wasn't what prophets did per se. They really preached to the moment where you were.
They were professing
Yeah.
what was supposed to be happening.
Hey y'all, and a lot of times what prophets had to say wasn't exactly the most popular things. They were calling society out for its lack of following God. Very often, you're not treating the widows and the orphans right, which is where the poor. You're not taking care of your own people or the people. So, if y'all don't do this, something good's not going to happen to you down the road.
Your prophets are men of God.
Right.
And so if you give them tribute, you're actually giving tribute to God.
Yeah. But also, remember, I always get a little nervous about that part because if you trust all the church history, which I told you before, when we say tradition says, normally it says, yeah, that's made up. But maybe not necessarily, but history tells us they didn't treat the prophets very well.
Well, see, that's what I was hearing, the prophet's reward.
Yeah. Yeah, well, for the most, it didn't. Isaiah, tradition tells us they stuck him in a log and sawed him in half. And yeah, he said, no, yeah, we're not wanting those. Yeah. The road. Okay, and let's talk about but I think that the what you're asking is this a negative connotation? And actually, it's a positive one. The righteous, we want to see righteous people and treat them with respect, don't we? We think righteous people should be treated with respect, whatever that means, whatever our definition of righteous might be. Yeah, I got you. But I'm starting to learn some things here. I know where he's going. No, but we want to think that prophets and righteous people deserve a place of some sense of,
Doesn't it also tell us that you have gone through a lot of education, a lot of trying to discern what these words are, and that we can respect that as may not be set in stone, but like I said, tradition says, kind of thing.
Right.
To help us.
Right. I get nervous when I prefer we talk about that in third person as opposed to me. But I think that the notion of prophet is a noted place, and not, again, as I always tell the elders, we're not set above, but we're set apart. And I think that there's something to that. And and I think about that too, because some of the prophets, like Isaiah, was a trained prophet, but then others, I'm not the prophet or a son of a prophet, kind of notion, which I'm like, but Amos, you are a prophet, so how can you say you're not?
When I heard this, I kind of take it that he's telling the people to focus on the good people. Don't focus on what the crowd's telling you over here that maybe, oh, worship this idol, and then you do worship this. He's telling you, believe in the prophets, listen to what they say, and don't listen to the background noise. Focus on the righteous.
Okay.
I think, that's what I get out of it.
Okay.
But it seems like you get more of a reward if you welcomed in the people that needed to be welcomed and not the prophets or the righteous.
Yeah. Yeah, this passage really, the word welcome gets, I mean, he uses welcome a lot. And so, this is kind of interesting to me because we've talked about recently, hey, you know, you got to give up everything and follow me. You got to take up your cross. And then today, he kind of ends with this, hey, if you welcome people, you know, welcome's the issue here. Welcome them.
Part of that, to try to offset a little bit of, I don't really want to follow you to the cross. That's not what happened there. But I do want to, I do want to share, what you taught us.
That's it. Interesting. Yeah.
Follow from way behind.
Yeah. Maybe. And also it's the aspect of something as simple as welcoming people is a part of the whole aspect of the call of who we are as people.
Well, I mean, that's something we try to do at this church, is to be welcoming to
Hope.
to people who come in.
Which is always interesting. Like I always tell you, I've never read a church form that didn't say, we're a friendly church. And then I read them from committee when I was on committee on ministry, and I go, you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Or are we just friendly to the people we want to be friendly to? And the notion of what does welcome mean? Because I almost suspect, and this is that place where every congregation sees themselves as welcoming, because anybody can come in the door. Yeah, come on in. Be careful where you sit. You're welcome, but once you get in that door, you better be careful where you're welcome. And so there's that part, and then does welcome mean here something more than just, we're providing space for other people to come be here? I mean, we got space. I mean, this once you put people all the way around up there, I think this place is seat 500 maybe. It might be a little tight, but you could seat a lot of people. So, do we say the fact that because we have our doors, and our doors are open, this congregation, you're right, anybody could come in, but does welcome mean more than that? Than just, hey, you have to you can just come in. When we welcome people, what is there more to it than just saying the door's open?
Well, I think that's where he said, if you give a cup, it doesn't, not just welcome, but provide what they need.
Yeah, because you can imagine last couple of days, it's been really hot, right? Or Friday night was hot. I'm just telling you. I played outside. I didn't want anybody near me afterwards because I was sweaty. I didn't want to, it was hot. So you consume a lot of water. So you can imagine the Middle East, hot. And water, clean water, was not, we take water pretty much for granted, don't we? I know when I go to the faucet, it's going to be water. And my refrigerator has filtered water. And then I go to the store and I buy these little packets, and then I have flavored water, and it's really good. But their water, that's why, wine was a thing. They could make wine and water, it's just, water was pretty serious. But to get some of that in the heat of the day, to give a cup of water in the name of the Lord, basically, was something pretty serious to do. I mean, it seems simple, but Jesus is putting a great emphasis on that here today. Because he ties it in with the whole cross conversation.
We also said cold water, which
Yeah,
means you have to get it out of the well right then, or
yeah.
it'll go like the cold.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that they make that distinction.
Did welcome mean the same in this context that we think of it? Or could it mean like care for or attend to or?
There's a different weight placed on it than just, there's a welcome mat, and it says welcome on it,
Yeah.
Where there is.
You need community.
Yeah, definitely. One more time, Jesus is pointing out to us that that Christian faith is not a solo journey. That it's not just, it's like I've said, there's no such thing as a Lone Ranger Christian, but even the Lone Ranger had Tonto. I mean, so, it wasn't just by yourself kind of thing. And Jesus is pointing out to the disciples that, this is pretty important aspect. Because just think of that, the welcoming, even the welcoming of someone welcomes him, and the welcoming of him welcomes the one who sent him. I mean, that really changes the dynamic of even welcoming someone, that when someone walks through that door, that Jesus plays, hey, whoever welcomes you welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes the one who sent me. And we just go, yeah, we're welcoming. And Jesus is saying these simple acts, which sometimes might not be as simple as we want them to be, but that it plays a pretty significant aspect of who we are as disciples, because that's the context here. That part of discipleship is the welcoming and the giving of the cold water. It's not just, you don't just get, you get good water. You get Propel water, raspberry lemonade flavored water. Just happens to be my favorite. But you know what I'm saying? So that there is a great sense that Jesus is attaching this to a larger conversation, that we could read through this and go, come on, welcome. We do that. And then let's start playing out our actions. And then, when somebody's standing up here and says, pass the peace, and looks out and people go, they pass the peace, they go straight to the people they know and go around people that are visiting or that they don't know. And I go, that's interesting. Interesting. Then we have to say, or even Wednesday nights, that do we contact and interact with people that we don't know? Or to say welcome might take a little effort. But what he's saying is that effort is a part of something of connecting us to him and to the one who sent him. And suddenly that's a lot bigger than just saying, sit anywhere except for in my pew in this room and you're welcome. Sit in my pew and you're not as welcome as you were before. So, now it's over to us. What does this look like? For Presbyterians, one thing this is that it's that whole, and you hear it so often, the priesthood of all believers. We in the Reformed tradition believe that all of us, not just certain people, but all of us are called to be a part to serve in ministry. So that's a part of this. And that this notion of reward that we think about is not so much as getting a gold star or earning your way into heaven, but as one person wrote, but it's a deep intrinsic joy of being an apprentice or a partner in God's kingdom and God's work. And notice that he calls the disciples little ones here. When you welcome the little ones, you welcome, basically he's referring to the disciples. He's calling them little ones. But I don't know that we like being called little ones, but there he's referring to that. So, what does this look like, for us that today? How does this play out? How does this feel? What's it look like?
How does the welcoming feel?
Yeah, what's that?
Well, see, one of the things for me is the struggle we have now with people who think they don't need this fellowship of fellow believers. I can worship God out on the golf course. I can worship God
It's always on the golf course. You go ahead and
in the world.
and
And I think as one of the frozen chosen, I want you to look at
Yeah.
my life and go, well, maybe that's not a bad group to hang out with.
Right. Yeah.
But to me, that's one of the challenges of the welcome is being like, how do we share that?
Right. That is a good question. I mean, first of all, anytime I've ever been on a golf course, God is the last person I'm thinking of when I'm out there because I'm so freaking upset about how I can't get that ball to go where I want it to go. So I was like, God, if you're out here, you ain't near me. But I wish, but you're not. So yeah.
God has a sense of humor.
Yeah, about have to. I think of that when I see the giraffe. I love the giraffe, but I go, that's a funky looking thing. Right. Oh well, on we go. So, yeah, and that is a part of it because we are up against a culture that tells us now that even the Christian teachings that we hear, it's like, community is really not important. It's not. And I know, and I read enough comments on Facebook these days because my whole sociology notion goes, I start reading these things like, well, the church has hurt a lot of people. And we have to acknowledge that and recognize that and say, and everybody in this room has probably been hurt at least one time or another by the church or people in the church. And something we also have to acknowledge too, which I always say, well, I've really been hurt by the church. I said, well, granted, I can give you that one when I talk to people about it. But I said, but I can also almost bet you've hurt other people as being in the church too. I mean, I've been hurt and I know that I've hurt. Not, it's just, nobody wants to acknowledge that side of the equation. But I'm like, and when we get that notion of, I don't go to church anymore because those people are, they really have hurt me. I hate that.
You know,
But-
talking about what you were saying with people out there,
Mm-hmm.
I think the more important thing we can do is when people come in here,
Yeah.
and I don't think they would come here if they didn't want to be seen by somebody. It
Mhm.
goes back to that whole thing of want to be seen.
You would think that's true. Oh. Mhm.
So do we see them when they
Yeah.
come?
I can't answer that.
Of course, what I do is I say, hello, I've never met you before. Is this
Yeah.
your first time?
Yeah.
No, I've been coming here for 25 years.
Well, and that, I mean, you know, and that's okay. That's a risk we have to take too. And even as a pastor, I can still remember the time I got eaten up the year and a half I'd been at a previous church, and they said, we've been coming here for 20 years. And I'm like, well, you may have been, but the last year and a half you ain't been here. And I don't know if you're counting that in the 20, but you shouldn't. But, you know, I mean, yeah, it is a risk we run. I mean, and I think everybody has to, I mean, I wish everybody could hear that part too, you know, that we have to have some grace for each other to go, well, I've been going here a long time, that person doesn't know me, you know, well, okay. Okay.
That's one thing I tried to
Yeah.
encourage at Mallard Creek with the barbecue.
Uh-huh.
Because I'd go up and promote and go,
Yeah.
you get to know people in small groups. You get to know people
You do.
working the side.
Right.
You don't get to know them sitting on the
Yeah.
pew with them.
Right.
You have
That's
to-
true.
You
Yeah.
have to engage,
Oh, absolutely.
with other folks.
Oh, that's a Wednesday night washing dishes. That's fun because you get to talk to people in the back and you have conversations you don't normally hear. You know, even as a pastor, I kind of enjoy it. You know, and so that's kind of cool because you do get to interact with people, and that's another part of this, that welcome I think that's here, is that it might be easy, but also think about this too with the notion of cool water or cold water here, that in their day, again, I don't think about it until the main out here gets shut off, because the main out here that's shut off to the church is also shuts off the mains. So when something happens over here, well. Yeah, the mass gets shut down too. So, but that in their day and age, giving away water also meant you had less. And that's an aspect that you have to think about too. That we always go, well, you know, we got to be careful about what we got. We can't be giving it all away now.
But theirs was life and death. Ours
Yeah,
is just inconvenience.
Right. Yeah.
That's the reality.
Right.
You didn't get somebody to bring you water from the well.
Yeah.
You got yours first.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you run into other people getting their water.
That's true.
Community.
Right. It's community.
Now,
And
everybody thinks because you can get anything you want brought
Yeah.
to you,
Mm.
that you don't need.
And you can. Geez, you can get stuff brought to you now. Groceries and stuff like that. You never have to leave your house.
Blame Amazon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know that I'm blaming anybody. I mean, it does change the dynamic of what you're up against, or what we're dealing with, and so that's an interesting aspect. I mean, yeah, for us to consider, and so maybe we think about that. Oh, I know my handbell folks they're love it when they play. So, but think about what welcome and giving cold water is a little more than just saying, well, the doors are open and we're okay. And that this notion of reward isn't, oh, if I score enough brownie points here, I'm gonna get in there. It's much more about the notion of when we're doing this, hey, even though we think these are really small acts, one more time, Jesus is saying, this is the kingdom of God.
This is hospitality.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's back to Abraham
which was huge in the Jewish tradition and is huge in the Christian tradition. And again, that we recognize that while we think these are little things, according to Jesus, welcome the one who sent me, you welcome me, welcome the one who sent me, it suddenly becomes something much, 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 much bigger than we ever thought it might be. Yeah. They do in the kingdom of God, apparently. We just kind of tend to forget that. Well, hopefully we don't. Let's pray. Gracious God, we give thanks for scriptures, ones that are longer, ones that are shorter, some that push us, that we call hard, and some that we may even think are really easy. But yet you place such a major importance on them, welcoming one another and giving cold water in the name of the Lord. May we be faithful right here and right now. It's in your name we pray. Amen.